Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of You're Doing What Now? Thank you for joining me here today. So let's see. Today we are going to take a piece of recycled fabric from a pair of pants that I have and um, put a backing on that so that it can be used more easily as a book cloth. Um, and then I want to use that on my little test board that I was working on last time. That laminated cardboard from those cereal boxes, or actually, I guess soda boxes. And yeah, so we're just experimenting with the materials I have in preparation for using it to bind an actual book. Um, uh, let's see, off screen, since we last saw our hero, I made some wheat paste that we can use for um, attaching the backing to the cloth. I looked up a lot of different methods of preparing fabric to be used as book cloth, especially from DAS bookbinding has a lot of great videos kind of on everything to do with bookbinding that has been super helpful. Okay, the camera fell. We got to back up. I meant to pause the recording, but instead I stopped it. So I'm going to have to edit these clips together now, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. Um, let's see. Yeah, DAS bookbinding has just a lot of great information and a lot of experimentation that he's done. And I think out of the approaches that he showed, um, yeah, I think wheat paste will work best for me. So yeah, I made that wheat paste. Um, I processed the cotton pants that I have into like just the I just tore it apart at the seams into the panels that it is made up of. So that'll be a little bit easier to use. And then oh, yeah, the card that I made last time, um it was pretty straight, but then it warped a little bit. And I don't know if maybe I didn't leave it like under pressure for long enough or if that was just the natural result of the cardboard drying. I kind of think it's that one. Um so I tried um on the opposite side, it was like bent that way. On this side, I tried attaching some paper to when that shrinks, it'll pull it back straight, but actually overcorrected it. So I took that back off and I tried just wetting the cardboard and putting it under pressure. That's where it is now. It might be dry. I guess we can check that. It's dry to the touch. Um, yeah, it's still a little bit bent. Pretty much the same way it was. So I think it's hard to see. It's pretty slight. It's bent this way. If I hold it up to straight edge, it's probably a bit more obvious that gap there. Um, Not the end of the world, um, but a little bit. That's maybe something. Yeah, I'm not sure. Also, one thing I forgot to consider when I made this was actually the grain of the cardboard. I've been thinking about the grain of the paper, but not the grain of the cardboard. So apparently, based on the way that this bent, the grain is going this way. So then, I was kind of imagining it like the book being oriented this way, but really you would want it this way. So yeah, whatever. When we do the fabric on here, I'll want to arrange it so that the warp is running this way, and then I'll want the backing paper on the um, fabric to match that. Yeah, this is warping more as we speak. Um, I'm thinking maybe I'm kind of split on it because it's not too bad to have it warp in towards the text block a little bit. Um, so part of me is like, we can make this the front cover. On the other hand, I'm like, if we put the fabric here and then have a paper here, maybe it'll balance out. Um, I don't know. It's tricky. This is kind of what I the cost I'm paying for using like just random recycled boxes, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. So it's going to be harder for me to nail down, the exact characteristics of the stuff I'm working with. But oh well. So yeah, I guess let's figure out this fabric here. There's a part I have that's yeah, this is where the rip was. It wasn't that big. I've cut little parts out, but I think we'll work from this piece. And then let's see. Got to figure out the direction of the warp in this. Hmm. A little hard to tell in this one. I'd expect it to be kind of the vertical. Not that I'm not basing that on anything. I guess I just kind of feel that way. But the way it stretches, it feels like the warp is more so running horizontal. Um, yeah, so we would want it oriented with the stripes sideways like this. Um, okay. And then I'm going to cut this not too much bigger than the piece we had before. And instead of fussing, that other camera wasn't working super well last time. Um, so I think for a lot of this one, I'm just going to move my main camera around. Um, hmm, I'm debating. I guess for this part, we can use the secondary kind of crappy camera. Let's see. This is an old LG G5 that I use. The power button's broken on it. I had to do weird stuff to turn it on. There's like you like plug it in, you hold down a button, you wait for it to come on, you unplug it, you plug it back in. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. It seems to have worked this time. Hopefully this will boot up pretty quick. Um, yeah. And yeah, we can get this cut down to the right size. We'll cut down a piece of paper as well. Oh yeah, I have just like some tissue paper I'm thinking of using for the inside. Oh wait, no, not for this. That's for the inside of the board, but we're not doing that right now. Right now we're just putting the backing on the paper, or on the cotton fabric. And probably let's see. I'll probably do this and then I'll probably stop recording. It's going to take forever for it to dry, I'm sure. So then I'll probably pick up recording tomorrow or possibly later today to try the next part. But I do want to put all of this in one video of both the backing and attaching it to this card. Unless this takes way longer than I think it will. Okay, we're close to what we want. You can't see anything. It looks like this. That whole segment was kind of pointless. We're gonna bring it all down because that was frustrating. Okay. Right. So now I've established that, yeah, I think the warp is running this way. So this will be side to side. We want a piece of paper slightly bigger than what we've got here. I think what have I got here? Yeah, this is a piece of scrap paper that I took part of one note on. It's a little bit too big, so I'm gonna cut just a little bit off the end here with my crummy scissors. And these really are crummy. All right. All right. Now we got something like this. Let's go put that on some glass. And I'll set up a whole new angle. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So one thing I forgot in my frustration a moment ago was that I didn't check the grain of the paper before I cut it. I was using a regular piece of just letter paper. And on the ones that I have, the grain runs this way, which means I want it this way. These can't be wide enough. So fortunately, I have this much larger paper that I can use. The grain also runs this way. This is enough of a margin. I think that we should be okay. So I can cut this down real quick. And yeah. Whew, these scissors are so bad. Yeah, they just tear if I try and run it. But good enough. Because we're cutting that edge off anyway, so that doesn't really matter. Okay. So let's see. This is the, like, both sides of this fabric are pretty much the same, but let's see. I think I want this to be the outside. Um, so you're supposed to wet it. This is just water, um, just to help it stick and relax. And I don't need all this excess around it. It's like I had paper towels, where'd they go? I'm always losing what I'm working with. All right. Get these, get this pattern straight here, more or less. It's so wavy. Or if that's, you can see my reflection. Hi there. Okay, should be good enough. Hopefully the sweet paste works. I think I made it right. Mm, it's a little thick. Mm, might, if I can water this down just a little. Let me grab something. Okay. Grab this Tupperware, just a little bit of water in it. Let's see if I can dump that in there. We're experimenting. I don't know. That's probably too much water. Yeah, that's way too much water. Now the question is, do I throw this out and use less water and another clump of wheat paste, or add more wheat paste to this? That's not too bad. Let's add a little bit more here, because this is going to go bad anyway, so I can't really overuse it. Yeah, that's better. I was just like looking at like trying to spread that on as it was, and it's like so like gelatinous. Okay, so good. Um, here. Sliding all over the place. Let this saturate a little bit. I want to give the time. I want to give the water time to, or the paper time to absorb what moisture it's going to for the most part, so that it'll be like relaxed when we're setting it over here. Where's my other? Grab my other brush while it's setting for a minute. All right, let's kick the table, and then we're good. All right, and then I'm gonna lift this. We've always got trash laying around. Okay. Got room here. Yeah. Oof. Come on. Lay this down fairly even across here. And then you're supposed to try to not press too hard because you don't want the glue running through the fabric, getting pushed down into the fabric too much. And then the edges where the paper is on the glass supposed to help keep the paper taut. And then you just cut out the part you want. So yeah, that's gonna take a while to dry. Hopefully this works. All right, yeah, I'll probably pause the video here and then pick up once this is dry, and I'll clean up a little bit here. And yeah, hopefully this works all right. All right. It's been a while. This has seems to have dried completely. And yeah, I want to see what this is looking like. It's hard to see. I'm gonna mark so, kind of the boundaries of the fabric here. Let's see. Right here. All right. It seems to. Okay. Then I'm gonna try and get just kind of as square in there as I can here. Trying to keep it square. Moved. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Okay. You can't see it on the screen. I drew a square. All right. Hopefully this razor will work well for what I'm doing here. All right. And I cut into the plastic of this a little bit. I need a metal ruler. Kind of missed the mark with that one. That edge is just gonna be kind of awkward. Okay. Okay. It worked fairly well. It's a little stiff, easier to work with, easy to keep these lines relatively straight. Feels nice, it's well attached. Yeah. Just curl. That's interesting. Um, let's see. I guess the fabric shrunk a little bit. Okay. And then supposedly this will come off with just water. Um, Using a waistband here. I'm just gonna use it as like a rag. A long, weird rag. All right. Just give it a second here. Yeah, not too bad. It does kind of just feel on up. It's nice when things are true that you're told. Okay. Just gonna. Okay. Got a little Windex here too. Really, I just want to see how clean this comes. Um, I don't care that much about this table, but you know, yeah, that's fine. Cool. Very good. All right. So another issue that we have now. So let's try. So yeah, the whole point of making this was to test and wrap around that little bit I made, the board. The problem is this is bent even more now. Where I showed it to you against the straight edge earlier. Um yeah, even crazier. Um so the question is, should I experiment with seeing if this will correct it? If I like, will this pull it taut? Um, or should I make a new one of these? Um, and try to just get the board itself straighter. Um, I guess ultimately I should probably do both. Um, yeah, maybe we should just do both. Okay. And that's about the right size. Okay. I'm gonna pause for a second. So I need to prepare a little. Because I forgot to look up any details on how to do this. I vaguely know the process, but yeah, let me make sure there's nothing I'm not considering here. So okay, I think I'm prepared enough. I think I am just gonna try it with this. I think this might be able to contain with the way I think that this paper is going to um stretch and pull in um and like with it having the added strength of the cloth, um I think it's going to be fine. I do think I'm going to have to do this into different phases. I'm not sure if that'll warp this outer part, but we'll see. I think I need to glue this down, put something on it for at least like 15 minutes, and then I can do the turn-ins. Um, and yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes. I'm gonna mark approximately where I want this so that I don't um, put too much glue outside the area where I need it. Okay. And then have that ready. Let me grab some wax paper. I'm gonna put the wax paper on top. And then I had lost my wax paper for a minute there, but I got it. Hmm. Now I'm worried. Putting weight on this probably is going to make the glue seep through a cloth. But I don't know what else to do. Okay. Some wax paper here. We've been out of wax paper for so long. And both me and my wife, we keep thinking we have it because we have parchment paper. And then we'll go to grab wax paper and it's like, oh, that's parchment paper. Um, so I finally got some. 90% of the time what I actually need. Okay. I use parchment paper actually for uh I've got for my lighting I actually just have like work lamps, like cheap aluminum work lamps with regular light bulbs in them. And then I just put 2 layers of parchment paper clipped on with a binder clip to kind of like diffuse the light. And it works pretty well. Okay, what am I doing? So we're gonna put some PVA on here within these boundaries. I guess I should have done, maybe I should do the whole outline. So I can see where the corners are. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good enough. This time I'm gonna put PVA in here, then on the brush, then on the paper. When I was laminating before, I was putting it straight on the board. And I don't know, it seems like maybe it's a better idea to dab it on. I don't think I need all that much. I probably should have put something under this. um, just in case I go over the edges here. And maybe more than that. Okay. And there's just parts that I'm like kind of missing here. Okay, here we go. Okay. Jeez. Weird stuff in there. Don't know where that came from. Aw, gee. Yeah, we got it on here. That's not great. Okay. Letting the paper relax a little, but I don't want to give it too long. So I don't want the glue to dry. While I'm here, I'm gonna keep this moist. All right, that's probably good. Move that. Let's try to line this up here. that. And then, yeah, hold this for a moment here. Okay. That there. Lighter weight. And a little extra weight. So hold it firm. And then, yeah. I'll bring you back in about 15 minutes. And, yeah, we'll turn in these edges. Hopefully. All right. It's been about 15. We're back. Let's see how this is doing. You probably hear the chair now, huh? Okay. We're still curved in quite a bit. Don't seem to be bleeding through though. That's good. All right. Yeah. Sucks. That's just how it's gonna be. All right. Yeah, let's try these turn-ins now. So a 2mm board, so it should be like 3mm out. DAS bookbinding said that he just eyeballs it and he thinks that's worth doing. So we're gonna try it. About 45-degree 3mm. Not perfect. Not perfect at all. That's okay. This is also just basic practice, so I think we're okay. Also, I don't have a bone folder. I have these little spudgers from a phone repair kit from when I replaced the battery in my phone a couple weeks ago. So we're just gonna use that. I gotta put this under here. All right, you're supposed to do the tops and then the sides. There's more official terms for those. I can't remember what they are. It's probably too much glue. That's okay. I'm getting glue in all the wrong places. That's okay. All right. Oh boy. The spudger's supposed to, or the bone folder's supposed to help you get like, nice clean folds and stuff. I think that's probably fine. All right. I get why people want specialty tools. I do think, I'm sure that it's appropriate when you're doing this professionally. I think for a hobby I'm trying out, So a lot of times you don't need specialty tools. You can just kind of use what you got. It'll work fine. If I find myself making more than 10 of these, sure. And I'm sure they're not expensive, but some of these things you kind of can't do without, and some of them, I mean, like you couldn't make this without glue. I guess I could use wheat paste for every part of this. I'm using PVA again here, but I do think the difference in glue actually matters, and I don't know how to make PVA glue. Um, but yeah, it was something like a specialty piece of plastic. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I forgot you're supposed to. Well, that's okay. Yeah, we can see kind of on this corner my eyeballing was not perfect. So this corner's a little exposed. So it looks okay. I forgot you're supposed to pinch down these edges here. I did not do. But again, I think that's not going to be the end of the world on a practice board here. I hate how it's bending. Oh boy. All right, last one. Oops, got the wax paper. Yeah, that wheat paste will come right off the glass. The PVA, not so much. I guess while it's still wet, it's not that bad, but okay. Overall, it looks decent. Again, not perfect having that bend, but maybe as this dries more, it'll pull back because it's not completely dry. Um, so yeah, it may still. We'll have to see. I'll give this another period of time um, to kind of sit under weight and dry. I'll probably put it on the floor this time rather than on this table. But yeah, we'll see how it does. All right. Um, it's been, what time is it now? It's been a little bit more than 24 hours since last recording. I pulled the practice board out from under that weight earlier today. I think it was drying under there for uh like 22 hours. Um and yeah, I pulled it out. Now that was like it's been a while. I don't remember if I said how long it had been earlier. Um I stopped filming at like 8 yesterday. I think it's like 11 the next day. I pulled this out around 6. Because one thing I've noticed is that I'll pull it out from under the weight and be like, oh, like it dried pretty straight, but then like it throughout the day kind of curves more. So I wanted to give it time to sit not under the weight but fully dry and see how it did. Um and I'm pretty happy with it. Um it's not perfectly straight. Um, but even like, on this, you can't really um see the gaps in the straight edge. It's the slightest curve now actually the because before it was curving in this way. The slightest curve out, which is not really what you want really on your book. If anything, you want to curve in a little. But I figure, you would put an end paper here that will pull it in a little bit. And yeah, this turned out much better than I really anticipated. So I'm very happy with this result. Um, not perfect with these corners. For me, like eyeballing that angle and that gap. I think eyeballing it maybe would be better if you already have a fair amount of experience. So when I do this to try actually binding a book, I probably will measure um, just to give myself a little bit more of a feel and a visual of what correct looks like there. I also maybe would, it doesn't really matter, but I would probably make these gaps from the edge of the board. I'd probably even those out before um before gluing them down, just so these are, so that this lines up better. It won't matter because it's covered by paper, but I don't know, I think that would be nice. um Another thing I wasn't really paying attention to, and part of this was I let this be a little loosey goosey on that when I was attaching the backing, so it is a little wobbly. I think again for an actual book, I probably would want to be a little bit more careful with that, especially because I didn't notice along this. You can tell mostly along this edge where that line happens to be right there. I this would look a lot better if that were straight along that edge. But again for practice board, I'm overjoyed with how this feels so nice. It gives me a lot of confidence in the direction I'm heading in. Because yeah, the tactile, interaction with this is very like, yeah, it feels like a book cover. Which is very very exciting to imagine putting this on an actual book. Of course, this is a practice board. I won't be using on an actual book, but a great start. Um, Yeah, another thing that I think I mixed up actually the warp direction of, I was rewatching some of the footage. Um I think this actually is the warp direction, and that because of the grain of this, I orient it like this because I'm thinking of my book being like this, but really this is the top and bottom of this just because the grain of the board is going this way. So I'll cut that differently in the end. Um, but yeah, technically this pattern should be rotated. It doesn't matter as much. The grain and like the warp direction for the fabric doesn't matter as much, I don't think. Um, but I'm actually happy with that discovery because I want these to be oriented this way on the final one. So, um, yeah, but so some kind of remaining questions for me though are, I with this fabric and backing paper, I like overcorrect, I corrected this bend quite a bit. So it kind of begs the question for me of, if I have a straighter piece of board to start with, is it then going to be drastically bent inward? Um, or yeah, outward. Um, that might be able to be fixed with an end paper or a draw sheet on the inside here. But I'm a little nervous about that, but hopefully it'll work out. Um, and yeah, just pretty generally pretty happy with how that turned out. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to think what next steps will be. Um, I guess there's kind of a couple directions I could go from here. Because I uh yeah, part of my uh I don't really want to bind a book with just blank paper inside of it. Um because to me that's not going to feel like the artifact I'm trying to create. So what I've been doing um is actually I like made one of these signatures, like a couple pages of paper folded over. And then I've just been using my typewriter and like typing stuff out in here. So I want like four of these signatures. This is about 25 pages. So I need to finish writing the book that I'm writing. Um, and it's a rough draft, like very stream of consciousness. And so it's like a rough draft book altogether. And maybe that's a little silly to take a rough draft and fully bind it and everything, but I'm still practicing the binding. I know that's not going to be perfect either. Um, so I don't know. I like the kind of romance of that. So that's probably what I'm going to try and do. So I need to write. I've got about 25 pages written. Um, so I need to write three times that. um, and get that ready. Um, and initially I wanted to film also while I'm writing, but in I did another recording where I tried that, and it ended up being pretty useless because I had audio issues. But I kind of don't the like talking and writing are such different mental spaces that I find that like I really got to be quiet when I'm writing. So I don't know how good of this is already pretty I'm asking a lot of your attention span here. So I don't know if I'll really film any of that. But maybe I'll get some like, I'll time lapse some stuff or something there. There's also kind of the like, what I'm writing is a rough draft, and part of the mentality behind that is very much, the mentality I have to take is that what I'm writing like doesn't matter. It's not good. And like if there's pieces in it that I like, I can edit those later and make them good. But I can't be worried about writing well when I'm writing a rough draft. So the added viewer, even if it's just mental and I don't end up posting that video anywhere, it's still I worry that it will affect the quality ultimately and the flow. So um yeah, I may just not end up filming that. But I do need to make more book paper out of some more of this fabric or book cloth. Um, so maybe we'll make a bigger sheet of that soon. I'll need to get laminating some of these. And like I already know, so like this obviously is a little too small for the size of the signatures that I have. Um, but so I know the approximate like width and height. So I can make the front and back um book boards. For the side, I don't know exactly how thick that's going to be. I guess I could just make it a little bit bigger than I think I need, and I can cut it down. But yeah, I can't like fully assemble that yet, but I can go ahead and get the parts made. So that might be what we do next. And, or, maybe I'll be on to another hobby by then. We'll see. I do really want to finish this though. So, uh, yeah, and I'm not against a hobby sticking for a while if I want to end up making more than more than one of these. That's awesome. But I try not to put too much pressure on myself for that, because the idea here is to follow the whim. And yeah, so I think that's all I got. I'm sure this video is plenty long enough. And yeah, I appreciate you uh for joining me. Let me know what you think. If you got any thoughts or ideas. Um, and yeah, thanks for being with me here for episode 3 of You're Doing What Now?